My boyfriend just fired my best friend. A little backstory: I, 26F, met my best friend, 30F, 10 years ago at my first job. She was my shift leader and we later became best friends. My boyfriend, 28, and I have been together for almost 2 years now. He has his own, successful, business. A year ago he hired my best friend. She was hired for the reason of filling in for his place when he is absent. This means that she only works when he is not at work. My boyfriend has a delivery service with an accompanying delivery car. The staff can fill up this car with a debit card when it is almost empty. Today my boyfriend had the day off but decided to pick something up from the company. From his car he saw my best friend driving up in the company car. He decided to wait for her to pass on a message. Instead of walking to the business, she walked to her own car with 3 bottles of gasoline and he saw how she emptied them into her own car. At that point he decided to approach her and confront her. According to him, she reacted very surprised and had an explanation ready. She claims to have no money in her own account and only has cash. For this reason she had filled a few bottles via the company card and wanted to pay this back in cash when she was at work. My boyfriend thought this was a very strange story and decided to fire her for theft later that day. I called her later and she claimed she had no intention of stealing the gasoline. However, it is very difficult for me to believe. She could easily have driven her own car to the gas station and paid for her own gas in cash. Now it feels to me as if I am standing between my partner and my best friend, even though they both indicate that this is not necessary. I still feel really bad about the idea that my best friend would want to steal from my boyfriend and I still have a hard time believing it. My husband can't give me an orgasm. I am F, 26, married to my husband M, 34, for the last 6 years, together for 8 years. I lost my virginity to him and I thought that it was pretty normal that he couldn't get me to climax. However, he finally did it for the first time last year when he went down on me for the first time on our 5th anniversary. After that I became increasingly unsatisfied with our sex life. I knew he could do it when he went down on me, so I asked if we could add that to our intimacy and he said no because vaginas are fishy, which left me mortified. He said he would do it maybe on special occasions. Finally, I worked up the courage to tell him that for the past 8 years I have faked an orgasm. He said he was sorry, that must suck for me and he wishes there's something he could do but he is not willing to go down me. He then proceeds to blame my age, saying I care too much about orgasms/sex and now that he is 34 he doesn't care about them. But he has them every time we have sex? I am trying to remain logical and keep telling myself it's not a big deal if he can't get me to come. But I am struggling with his response and the fact this is the rest of my life. How do I get over it? Also, how do we have sex now that he knows I fake it? I had to clean up what was left of my brother-in-law. I, 40 meters, was at work and received a call from my wife, 34F. This was unusual because although we text often throughout the day, a call means something serious. When I answered she was bawling her eyes out, and she informed me that her older brother, 39, had taken his own life that morning. I immediately left work and rushed to her parents' house where she and her relatives were gathered. My Phil had found him when he didn't answer his phone and went over for a wellness check. My Bill was a veteran of the war in Iraq, and was severely injured in an IED explosion. As a result, he had severe PTSD and became addicted to opioids. We tried so hard to help him and always reached out, but he was very reclusive and didn't want much to do with us. He lived off of Ensure and Red Bull and weighed about 98 pounds at the time of his death. He was profoundly ill, but wouldn't allow us to be there for him. I am racked with guilt over this, like I should have tried harder, even though I know it wouldn't have done any good. He left behind 3 kids, all minors. We began the solemn logistical tasks of informing other family and attempting to hire a specialized cleanup crew. They said they charged a minimum $2,000 fee for any scene of that nature. My in-laws couldn't afford such an expense, and when I saw them breaking down from everything that happened, I made a decision. I paid the fee to have the company send out biomat boxes and retrieval and I drove to my Bill's house. I work in a clean room environment so I had full coverage Tyvek suits, gloves, and masks in my car. The manner in which he took his life was not gentle. His body had been removed by the coroner, but there was a lot left behind. The only cleaning agent I had on hand was hydrogen peroxide, so I spent hours scrubbing blood off of the floor, using a chisel to scrape the pieces of brain that had congealed, and a pair of needle-nose pliers to pull the bits of skull that had embedded in the wall. Typing this out makes me remember the smell. I apologize for the graphic detail, but it's like I'm living it all over again. This has been festering in my mind for a while. Better that I had to do it than any of my wife's family. She doesn't know what I've seen and she never will. I will take this to my grave. I was raped and now I'm a father. A friend of mine has a crazy cousin developed an obsession with me since we were teenagers. I'm gay and I never even considered paying her any attention. She's diagnosed with BPD. Back in December my friend celebrated his birthday and hosted a party at his place. Of course she was there mostly to please his parents. When she saw me at the party she followed me around everywhere, tried touching my crotch, kissing me and dancing with me the entire night. Of course I rejected her every time. By the end of the night I was quite drunk and no one else lived in my area, so she offered to take me home with an Uber. After that, I remember us going into my place, her taking off my shirt, kissing me, and next thing I knew she was naked and on top of me. I never talked about it with anyone. When I woke up, she was gone and had left me the keys at the doorstep. She completely disappeared after that and my friend had no news from her. Until today. I got a call from her saying she gave birth to a baby a few weeks ago and that it's mine. I don't know how to even process any of this. My boyfriend, M35, cried because he thought I left him. He came home late from an office party, already drunk, and had brought home drinks for me. I had a rough day at work and did not feel like drinking, so, after spending some time with him, I went to bed ahead. We keep alcohol at home, some gin, whiskey, the basics, that we don't normally consume. I woke up to him still drinking, but we've been together long enough that I was confident that he knew when to stop. Apparently that was not the case this night. A first. He went to bed giggly drunk and kept murmuring that he loves me and wouldn't stop. Tickling.me. I go to work pretty early compared to him, so I sighed in exasperation, told him I will sleep on the couch, and left him dozing alone on the bed. It was around 2 hours later when I woke up to crying. I rushed to the bedroom and found puke on the side, thankfully none on the sheets, and my boyfriend on the toilet crying because he thought I left him. Now a part of me is torn because although it broke my heart how bereft he was at the thought that I left, he was in a fetal position, sobbing on the bathroom floor. I am equally disturbed by how off his mind drunk he was. This never happened before and I hope to go this will never happen again. Now I'm still awake, bothered by these chain of events, while he sleeps soundly beside me.